everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe and join my community. I am so glad to have you all here. So, let's talk about the problem with power imbalance and social media. YouTube is amazing in that just anyone can upload content and find an audience, even if all they have is a phone. You don't need an agent or to be on TV. You don't need to be a movie star. The barriers to entry are much lower than traditional mainstream media. However, this exact feature that can be so great is also exactly how people who are exceptionally fame-hungry can use their newfound power for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of factors that play into this problem. It can be someone with poor boundaries who doesn't know how to handle their overnight fame. For someone who hasn't established a clear sense in their mind of what's right and wrong, the temptation of adoring fans can be too great. For some, the adulation gradually feeds their ego to the point they begin to feel entitled to things they wouldn't have considered before. For others, seeing the fame and flocks of young fans other creators receive can purposely lead them to want to take advantage of that same opportunity. Regardless, all of these problems are created by an average person being thrust into a situation with the power imbalance and little to no checks in place. An article by Allison Tate rightly pointed out that with mainstream media, or even large tours, there is by default more eyes on the creator most, if not all the time. Managers, directors, assistants, wardrobe, security. That's not to say horrible things still don't happen in these situations. There's just way fewer stopgaps in place when it comes to being YouTube famous, making doing bad things that much easier. Bad behavior is often excused so much more easily when it's a celebrity. We love them. We look up to them. They may have helped us get through some of our darkest times. We want to believe they really are the all-around amazing people they portray themselves to be. The older we get, the more we realize how often this is not the case. Never meet your heroes, as they say. But what happens when you're young and don't have that knowledge of the world yet? YouTube is perfectly set up for seemingly average people to portray their idyllic appearing lives and charismatic personalities online for 10 to 20 minutes at a time. We can plan ahead. Fun things can be staged. We can cut out all the bad parts. YouTube celebrities are an exaggerated form of our perfectly edited and curated Instagram photos, but on a platform that reaches millions of children rather than just our friends. And kids have a hard time understanding that what they see doesn't always match reality, especially when it comes to vloggers. Vloggers are someone we feel we've spent intimate moments with. They develop into the brother, sister, father, or mother we never had. We strive for a family like theirs. We look to them for advice. We feel we know them so well that we trust them implicitly. And this is where things fall apart, especially when it comes to young fans. According to Allison Tate, what you have is a very trusting, familial bond that has been forged, meaning children can't see this figure as potentially dangerous. And it becomes very clear bad people are willing and ready to take advantage of that blind trust. This is perfectly exemplified in the case of Chris Ingham. For those who are new to family vloggers, he's part of the Ingham family. They're a family vlogging channel which has been producing content since 2015. They currently have over 1.3 million subscribers. As of making this video, their channel has over 500 million views. Chris and Sarah are the parents to 4 adorable children who are the focus of most of their vlogs. Their most popular videos involve the girls opening hundreds of presents, exemplifying every young child's dream. Their Christmas video from 2016 alone has over 61 million views. The channel functions both as a source of entertainment as well as escapism for those who wish for better. Overall, the channel appears very innocent on the surface level. Unfortunately, the story doesn't stop there. Chris allegedly seems to have a particular preference for his young female fans. He appears to have used these girls' adoration to try and solicit inappropriate photos, as well as encouraging teenagers to sneak out in the middle of the night and party with him. These allegations are supported by multiple screenshots from multiple teenagers that have been published in a variety of news outlets. While the police are aware and have confirmed the screenshots, no criminal charges were filed as the age of consent in the UK is 16. Chris continues to have his own Instagram account and individual YouTube channel, in addition to the ones he shares with the family. He therefore continues to have direct access to his millions of young fans. While YouTube does have terms of service that every creator must follow, When it comes to offline interactions, they typically don't intervene unless official court charges have been filed. The most prominent example of this problem is the case of Austin Jones. Jones started his YouTube career in 2007. He initially became famous for his a cappella covers of popular songs. He eventually started releasing his own music and going on tour. Allegations that he was behaving inappropriately with minors came out as early as 2015. However, YouTube didn't officially ban him from the platform until February of 2019. This left him with an additional 4 years to reach new fans and engage in further inappropriate behavior with them. As of 2019, Jones has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. The inaction of platforms that hosted Jones may have resulted in him finding new victims. I wish this was the end of the list, but there's more. Sam Pepper, Tom Milsom, Mike Lombardo, Alex Day, Ed Bland, Ryan Terry, Cosmo Marlin, Greg Jackson, Tyson Gardner. The list goes on. Out of everyone mentioned in this video, only 2 have received true legal consequences, and most still have full access to fans. Thanks to the prevalence of social media, the problem seems almost unsolvable. Social media is a part of children's lives now more than ever. A study released by the UK charity Childwise in January showed that over half of children have their own mobile phones by age 7. This number increases to 90% by age 11, and nearly 100% by the time they enter secondary school. Most children have their phone on them at all times. They also tend to sleep with their phones by their bedside. They spend an average of 3.4 hours per day using their phones to connect with friends and access the internet. Out of the over 2,000 children surveyed, 61% chose YouTube as their favorite app. It was their first choice for finding videos and funny clips, listening to music, and watching TV programs. It was even more popular than Netflix. Not surprisingly, nearly all children surveyed were able to name their favorite YouTuber. They're also more likely to use their phone to access the internet compared to any other device. This 24/7 access can make it that much harder for parents to know what their children are accessing and who they're communicating with. In addition to these results, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children found that the number of recorded online grooming offenses has increased by 16% in the last year. A new law passed in 2015 finally made it illegal for adults to send sexual messages to minors in the UK. However, it took the NSPCC and its supporters an additional 2 years to pressure the government into finally setting a start date for the enforcement of the law. Thus, we only have data for the years after this. In 2019, over 10,000 online grooming-related crimes were recorded in the UK. One online offense against a child occurs every 16 minutes. Even worse, that number is only based on the offenses police have recorded. The true number is estimated to be much, much higher. Out of those surveyed, 1 in 25 11 to 17-year-olds had sent, been asked to send, or received explicit content from adults. Offenders then also use the images they've received to coerce the child into sending more. The research from the NSPCC also found that certain children were more at risk than others. That risk has also increased due to isolation occurring as a result of lockdowns and social distancing. Europol has actually seen a surge in offenders attempting to contact minors on social media, yet online regulations by major tech companies have hardly been updated. YouTube is not new to receiving backlash for this problem. In 2019, YouTuber Matt Watson drew media attention to the ways the platform was being discreetly misused. Adults were using the comment section to timestamp the parts of the videos that displayed children in compromising positions. The resulting media backlash led to YouTube eventually banning 400+ channels, as well as disabling comments on videos that were specifically intended for children. However, even the application of these rules seems to be inconsistent. Some family channels have had their comments turned off, while other channels with notoriously young fan bases, such as the Ingham family, have not been subjected to these same controls. So, what do we do to try and solve this problem? How do we get large companies to not only enforce rules, but enforce them more consistently? The NSPCC has attempted to propose new laws and regulations, but has faced inaction from the government, and it is a tricky problem. With billions of people using the internet, how do you even attempt to regulate it in a meaningful way? I used to feel like maybe it was an unsolvable problem. The internet is too diverse, and there's just too much going on to keep track of what's happening. But what I realize now is that we underestimate the value of empowerment and education. So many kids fall into these situations, partly because they're not taught how to handle them. Children, but particularly girls, are not universally trained how to stand up for themselves, or even that it's okay to stand up for yourself in the first place. The tide is gradually shifting, but girls have long been trained to be polite, non-confrontational, and submissive nearly from the day they're born. We all hold some responsibility in helping change this narrative for future generations. Children should be able to benefit from the wisdom of our own mistakes, rather than being forced to learn the hard way all over again. We should be empowering children to trust themselves when they feel like something is wrong, and to not feel guilty saying no. We can do a much better job of educating minors about consent. Social media and internet use are so vast that to not use these platforms to better equip children is a huge missed opportunity. I've really barely scratched the surface in this video, so there will definitely be more to come. I also only discussed UK regulations, but I plan to look into the US regulations as well. I'd also like to have a bigger discussion about what education actually looks like. What do you wish you would have known when you were younger? Was anyone or anything in particular instrumental in getting you out of a tough situation? As a child, what did you do if an adult made you feel uncomfortable? What else can we do to help kids avoid these situations? Is there anyone else you'd like to see me cover more in depth? Feel free to leave any thoughts you have in the comments below. I'll link some of the articles I referenced for anyone who's interested. I appreciate everyone's support so much. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.